stage is set at America's home for racing to kick off the biggest weekend in motorsports. Up first at Charlotte Motor Speedway, the ARCA Menards Series. Championship contenders have begun to emerge. But at a track like Charlotte, the battle is bound to heat up.
Ready to go. Ready for battle.
Racing here would put the field to the test and break a few hearts. Who will rise to the occasion? We'll find out right now.
Welcome to Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is the General Tire 150 for the ARCA Menards Series on FS1. And as you see all the teams getting ready, it's a beautiful evening, much cooler than we're used to here in Charlotte during this time of the year. But it is a perfect night to kick things off for a great weekend of racing. As you see, 69 degrees. It will fall over the next couple of hours, but we're excited to have you, and we're excited for our guest who's joining us here in the booth. He is a Cup Series driver. He's done a lot in his career. He's won in all three levels of NASCAR, even won a K&N East race. He's from the Tampa Bay area. He's a fitness enthusiast, and look at that beautiful family. And oh, by the way, yes, he's won in the Cup Series 3 times and hopes to get it done on Sunday for the Coke 600. Hello and welcome. I'm Jamie Little. He's Phil Parsons. And Eric, we're happy to have you. I know you've raced here a lot, so what makes this mile and a half stand out?
Well, first of all, man, you guys give a really warm welcome to a newbie up here in the booth. Thank you for that. This is a mile and a half racetrack that's unlike any other. It's so bumpy, so rough, and temperature sensitive. And you already talked about how cool the temperatures are here tonight. The notebook that all these guys have from years past, when it's been 90 degrees and humid, is thrown out the window. And then, oh, by the way, the racetrack is going to be so different from when these drivers practiced earlier today. The trucks have been on the track since then. The Xfinity cars have been on the track since then. That resin in the second and third lane has been run in. So it's going to be a very, very different racetrack than what these drivers saw earlier today. And
we have quite the competitive field tonight. I mean, the names, it's stacked. Jesse Love is somebody we're going to talk about a lot. But nobody in the field has ever won here at Charlotte. So, Phil, who do you have your eye on?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for somebody like Jesse Love, our regulars, Andres Perez, Frankie Muniz, to really show something here. And they're going to have to do it against some pretty tough competition. Look no further than a former series champion and a 16-time winner in the ARCA Series. He's already won this year in the Truck Series, Grant Enfinger. He's going to be strong, as well as some other guys that are doing double duty here tonight and this weekend. I think great opportunity because everybody's here. This is the home to most of the NASCAR teams. The owners are here. This is a great opportunity for these guys to showcase their talent. As a matter of fact, this week, Frankie Muniz said he thinks his world's going to change this week here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Wow.
And how it could. You never know what'll happen. But we mentioned Jesse Love, 18-year-old, and for good reason. They're all going to have to go through him tonight if they want to get it done. He's going for 3 straight, and it all started back at Talladega 2 races ago. He puts a perfect race together. He gets the victory, and then he comes back at Kansas, another place he had never raced before, and he seals the deal there. Great battle right down to the end tonight. He has that same race car. He's ready to make it 3 for 3. Moments ago, he talked to our Heather DeBow.
And Jesse Love coming off of back-to-back wins here in the ARCA Menards Series. But Jesse, you've had a busy last 10 days or so. I think it was 9 races, 8 days, 3 different series, but here you are trying to go for 3 wins in a row. You're a little bit tired, so how are you going to pump yourself up mentally to go out and dominate again and get a 3rd win in a row?
Sometimes you just got to man up and just do it. So that's kind of my process today is just get on the wheel and make it happen. And I mean, I've ran, 8 races, and this is the 9th day, and I haven't won one yet. I ran 3rd and led a lot of laps last night and ran up front at Millbridge and flipped about 2 days ago. So we've been really fast, and I haven't quite gotten a trophy yet. So the only thing at this point that's going to make it worth it all is if I win the race.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, it sure sounds like Jesse Love is up for the task at a track once again for the first time. He will lead the field to green for the 6th time in his career. As you see the drivers getting buckled in and ready to go. Let's go trackside for the command to fire engines.
Here to say the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome Tires Plus of Morganton technician Nathan Pepka.
Drivers, start your engine!
28 drivers ready to do battle for 150 miles. We will drop the green flag after this from Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Man, I'm pumped to be at the General Tire 150 this weekend.
Memorial Day weekend at Charlotte, it's a touching weekend.
Racing in Charlotte is going to be a bucket list item for me for sure.
Drivers, start your engine!
Charlotte's one of the best weekends. I'm originally from Charlotte, so we have a lot of friends and family come out to that one, so that's always fun and exciting.
It's a home track for the team. That's where I'm spending most of my time right now.
It's nice to go back to my bed at night and sleep in my own place. But also it's cool just to be racing at your home track.
Yeah, it's home. Charlotte's home, so I live about 2 miles away from the Speedway, so the opportunity to run in your backyard and hopefully make AM Racing proud.
I grew up actually in Raleigh, North Carolina, so I went down to Charlotte a bunch for this race to watch the Cup guys.
It's a tough racetrack. Our sponsor, CV Fabricating's always flying the red, white, and blue while we're there.
Place a lot of character. I feel like it's been racing better every year that we come back here. This is a place that, you know, the 20 car ran second at last year, so hopefully we can pick that up one spot this year.
And the common theme is everybody's excited to race in their backyard. A win here at Charlotte carries a little bit more weight for driver and for the team. So many families here. Now, earlier today, the ARCA Menards Series drivers had a practice session. They also had group qualifying. And at the end of the day, the fastest man, we've talked about him already, Jesse Love picking up his second pole this season. So well done by Jesse Love. He will lead the field to green. Starting outside him, Andres Perez, but he is one of a list of drivers that had unapproved adjustments, so he will have to drop to the rear. Taylor Gray, another one of those, so we'll have that list for you. But at the bottom of the screen, you'll see our General Tire starting lineup. And how about the race analysis, Phil?
Yeah, this race is 100 laps, 150 miles. We're going to have a race break on or around lap number 50. The teams will be able to change tires and fuel without losing their position. You see our winner last year was Brandon Jones, and the first race was way back in 1964, won by Hall of Famer Curtis Turner, and my brother Benny was in that race in 1964. First ever super speedway race.
Well, that was a little bit before my time, Phil, but this racetrack is quite the historical place, and this racetrack has aged over the years since they have repaved it, and it's a 1.5 mile racetrack, but unlike many other 1.5 miles we go to, 24 degrees of very bumpy high banks in the corners, 6 degrees on the front straightaway, about the same on the back straightaway. But the difference about this racetrack is not only the roughness from the aging of the racetrack, but the resin that Charlotte Motor Speedway puts down in the second and third lane makes this racetrack to where these drivers are constantly searching around for grip. As the tires wear out, they're going to move around the racetrack and go from the second lane to the third lane, and it's going to be very racy.
And Eric, for all of those reasons you said right there, I think we're going to have some good Reese's Sweet moves of the race this evening. So remember, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern, you head on over to that ARCA Menards Series Twitter and Facebook page at ARCA_Racing, and you get to vote on what moment you think was this evening's sweet move of the race presented by Reese's. Well, tonight we have two ladies covering all of the action, Heather DeBow, Amanda Busick. How about we'll kick things off with Heather. Good evening, ladies.
Hey, Jamie. Well, tonight, just 6 years ago, Connor Mozek started his racing career right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, racing legends on the quarter mile. After high school, he gave up stick and ball sports to pursue his dream as a race car driver. This weekend, he's pulling double duty, not only tonight in the ARCA Menards Series, but also in the Xfinity Series with Sam Hunt Racing. Now, this is the first time he will race on this 1.5 miles, so he's hoping that valuable seat time will help him show what he can do here in front of his home crowd at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Amanda Busick.
Heather, another guy pulling double duty tonight. That is Grant Ingfinger. Welcome back to the ARCA Series, to the 2015 champ. Said he's been working on this deal for close to a year, but of the almost 100 races that Grant has raced in this series, he has never raced at Charlotte. The day didn't kick off so well for him. He did have clutch issues that sent him to the back of the pack. We'll start on the second to last row, but there are 25 drivers ahead of them that might see a forward champ in their rearview mirror.
Thank you so much, ladies. And tonight we'll have 5 onboards, starting with the number 2 of Andres Perez. He's carrying the Richmond onboard. Qualified second, but as I mentioned, he will be dropping to the rear.
We're also going to ride along with our Daytona winner, Greg Van Alst, the 35 car. This is a Ford, and this is a onboard sponsored by Sioux Chief, and Greg will start from the 9th spot.
Carrying the General Tire onboard camera, starting in 10th spot, is Frankie Munoz, who's off to a career year. His only year, but a career year, and he's second in points currently.
We're also going to ride along with Tony Cosentino. He is from nearby Salisbury, North Carolina, just up the road here. And this is the Dawn onboard, and his Chevy will start from the 12th spot.
And we've already talked about him. Coming from the rear after some clutch issues is the Reese's onboard camera with Grant Enfinger, former ARCA Menards Series champion. And he is going to be fast tonight, and we're going to get a lot of great views from his onboard camera.
Yeah, it's exciting to see Grant Enfinger back in the field. It's been a while for him. I saw him walking into the ARCA Menards garage, but never hurts to get some extra seat time before your race tonight. Truck Series race coming up next. Did you see the pace car turns left down pit road? Jesse Love, he's gotten some practice at leading the field to green. He'll do it once again. Starts on the inside, and we are racing at Charlotte.
A little bit of tire spin there for Dean Thompson on the outside road. Couldn't get going quite as good as Jesse Love, and he rockets out of there into turn 1.
Yeah, good push by Connor Mosack in the 18 car as well.
Connor Mosack, he's driving the Joe Gibbs Racing entry. That was the same car that won here last year with Brandon Jones, so we expect that car to be fast tonight.
And that Joe Gibbs Racing machine, they have a great rivalry with the Venturini Motorsports team, so it's always fun to see what they can do, especially with the rotating drivers in the 18. So we'll see what Connor can do. Here
we see already Truck Series regular Grant Enfinger on the outside, using that resin to make a lot of passes and drive up to the front early on here already.
Has Andres Perez, that 2 car right behind him. That's Troy Breitinger in the 55 car on the inside of the green and white car.
I think Andres Perez is getting a little bit of a homeschool lesson right here. Grant Enfinger off from the back all the way up to 9th already, and Andres Perez following him up through there.
See smoke, and we've got caution for the first time on the track. It's for the number 12 of Brayton Laster, the driver out of Indiana. Had an issue just coming off of turn 2.
Doesn't look like he made any contact with anything, so looks like should be able to continue.
Yeah.
Already down on the apron. Just got a little bit loose down there, down on the apron. Again,
that's really easy to do.
Yeah, different racetrack, Eric, than what these guys practiced at earlier.
Absolutely.
Under caution for the first time, Jesse Love, Connor Mosack, Jack Wood, and Dean Thompson. Welcome back to the General Tire 150. We're under caution for the first time after just 2 laps. Brayton Laster had gone around, no harm, no foul. Brought him down pit road, fixed it up. Jesse Love will once again lead him to green. Connor Mosack this time starting on the outside. Green flag is in the air once again. 3 wide on the start.
Wow. That outside lane is just having so much trouble getting traction on these restarts. We saw it earlier with Dean Thompson. Now we see it again with Connor Mosack.
Saw a little contact too with Connor Mosack.
Jesse Love just manages the restart so well. He launches out of that restart zone.
Great move by Jack Wood to move up to the 2nd spot. Jack and Jesse were racing for the lead at Phoenix a couple months ago, and both got wrecked by one of Jesse's teammates.
Jack Wood has really done a nice job. He's been in this 6 car for Rev Racing quite a few times. He's run all the races so far. He will be part-time, but he's also splitting time with Kyle Busch Motorsports for the truck race, so he'll be doing that.
A couple months ago, and both got wrecked by one of Jesse's teammates.
Jack Wood has really done a nice job. He's been in this 6 car for Rev Racing quite a few times. He's run all the races so far. He will be part-time, but he's also splitting time with Kyle Busch Motorsports for the truck race, so he'll be doing that tonight. So I think a little extra seat time will help him there, but I feel like he's right on the cusp of getting that first win.
Yeah, I think for sure he really has done a nice job in this ARCA car. And he will run several more times for Rev Racing as well.
Absolutely. I think that extra seat time and running some truck races certainly gives him a lot more confidence when he comes and gets in the ARCA car. Just that feel and that confidence of running a truck and knowing what it feels like on those tires, and that extra laps, right? The extra laps of being in the truck and running practice, running qualifying, and then coming and jumping back in the ARCA car certainly helps him get up to speed here early in the race.
Good battle here. Andres Perez trying to make the move around Grant Enfinger. Been so impressed with this young man. Just turned 18 years old. Was not old enough to race in Daytona, but he's had all top 6 finishes since then.
Wow, you saw how loose Connor Mosack was. He was trying to run in the resin there in turn 3 and 4, and the resin just doesn't seem quite activated yet, but he was really loose down there. Seems like the cars are starting to get that resin run in. It takes a few laps for that resin to activate. As cars run on it, it builds temperature, and as it builds temperature, it gets grippier, and then that becomes the more preferred lane. But for right now, that darker section of the racetrack is just on the verge of being better than the bottom.
Take a look at what happened. You mentioned the 18 of Connor Mosack on the top side.
Oh, wow, that was close with that lap car there.
And that was slowed down. Those cars were probably running 30 or 40 miles an hour faster than that lap car.
Great job by the spotters. We talk about it often, but the spotters play such a key role in notifying you as the race car driver when you're coming up on that, because you're concentrating on making sure you hit your marks and racing around the cars that are inside of you, outside of you. So your spotters got to be not only looking about what's going on around you, but looking far enough ahead to notify you that you're coming up on a slower car.
Saw that battle for 7th. Andres Perez got around Greg Van Alst. And we've got a spinner just coming off of turn 4. Caution out for the 2nd time here at Charlotte.
Sean Core, number 8. Looks like he spun out off of turn 4. That's probably the most accident-prone corner we have. Wouldn't you say, Phil, at Charlotte Motor Speedway? Turn 4 is just such a tricky place.
It really is. It's so much different than the other end of the racetrack. We were talking about that just got a little bit loose trying to run up in that resin. Got a little bit loose. Did a nice job keeping that car out of the outside wall. But these two ends of the racetrack are completely different.
They really are. And we talked about it already. That resin. That resin, if you're just on the edge of it, I think there's enough grip right now. We saw Connor Mosack make the pass in the edge of the resin, but it looked like Sean got a little bit higher than where the resin was activated.
So we've had 2 spins, caution twice, but no damage. So we keep on ticking, and we will do the same here at Charlotte. Stay with us. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by Menards. Save big money at Menards. And by Bounty. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. Well, Grant Enfinger, one of the big movers, up 8 spots, Amanda.
And he said that the track is not coming alive yet, and that's a reflection on that traction compound that you guys have been talking about, but said he can make it work.
See what he can do with it here. Grant Enfinger up to the 6th spot.
Let's see if that outside lane can actually get a better restart here on this one.
This time is Jesse Love, the bottom, and you got Jack Wood to the outside. And again, Eric.
More wheel spin, but he did a better job than the previous 2 restarts, but I felt like that was certainly played right into Connor Mosack's hands, restarting 3rd. Follows Jesse Love right out of the restart zone and gets into 2nd place.
3 wide for a moment. Grant Enfinger made it 3 wide, made a pass.
And they're still 3 wide down the backstretch.
This is where it's going to get tricky right here.
Andy Jankowiak right now in the 73 car running 4th, having a really nice run. That's the same car that just about burned up at Kansas a few weeks ago.
Unbelievable. Those guys must have spent a lot of hours getting that car completely rebuilt.
Connor Mosack with a much better restart, as you mentioned, up to the 2nd spot. Jack Wood slips back a spot. And how about Andy Jankowiak? You guys just mentioned him. What this team has been able to do. I mean, grassroots racing. It's all of his buddies. And they put these cars together at home and drive around the country to try to make these races. And here he is running the top 5.
Very cool to see those guys having a great run. Connor Mosack is hanging tough with Jesse Love. This is the first time we've seen anybody be able to keep pace with Jesse Love. And he's doing it by running just slightly above where Jesse Love is running. He's kind of running that 2nd lane with his right side slightly in the traction compound.
Jack Wood holds down the 3rd spot. Andy J in 4th, as we were talking about.
Connor Mosack now about 2/10 off the bumper of Jesse Love. This is heating up quickly. I felt like Jesse checked out on the restart.
Connor's doing a great job of moving his car around, trying to keep clean air on the nose, making sure that he keeps his momentum up through the corners. He's really putting up the fight right now to Jesse Love.
Remember now, Connor shares this car with William Sawalich. William is not old enough to run a 1.5-mile racetrack. He will run all the short tracks, everything he's eligible for. Connor will do most of the driving when they run the speedways, the bigger racetracks.
Great battle right here for 7th. Taylor Gray in the 17, Dean Thompson in the 15. These two battle it out every week in the Truck Series.
All three of these guys will be racing later tonight in the Truck Series.
And 2 of them are teammates, by the way.
Taylor Gray, one of those cars that we talked about early on the show, is had to come from the back with unapproved adjustments to start the race. Wow, look at how much skew that car has going down the straightaway. That's unbelievable.
Let's get an update, Heather.
And you talked about them being teammates. Dean Thompson actually told me it's kind of funny to race against the 17 in this race because his crew chief, Derek Smith, he crew chiefs for Taylor Gray in the ARCA Menards series, and then also his interior guy is on this team as well. So he said it's a little bit weird to race against these guys here tonight as we see him make the pass on him.
Great battle there. Great battle up front as well. Heating up for the lead here. Connor Mosack on the top side. Jesse Love on the bottom. Can he make it stick?
Jesse had to go up in that traction compound to get around a lap car, and he wasn't used to it yet, like Connor Mosack was, and he just lost his momentum and Connor drove by on the outside.
Yeah, Connor powers by there, and I think exactly what you said, Phil. Connor had been running up there in that resin for quite some time. Jesse had been married to running that paint. He's been putting his left sides right on the paint, which there's a lot of grip down there. But as that traction compound continues to activate and get heated up from more and more cars run on it, it will become the dominant lane, and it will produce a lot of side-by-side two-wide racing. And we saw that Connor Mosack was able to use that to his advantage and drive right by Jesse Love.
Look at that clean air, just checking out now 4/10 over Jesse Love. Jack Wood still back there in 3rd, and Andy J. Dean Thompson in 5th. But I'm so impressed by the drivers that started in the rear and the progress they've been able to make. I mean, Andres Perez, we talk about this young man, 18 years old. Every time he gets in the car, I feel like he's a top 5 contender, and he missed a race, and he's still 4th in points and has a shot at the championship.
And here he is right now trying to put a move on Gus Dean, take over 5th position. You heard him get a little loose right there, Phil. He got a little loose under Gus.
I was watching Dean Thompson try to battle with another car on the inside. He looked loose as well.
And we talked about that before the race started. This racetrack will continue to change and evolve as the night goes on. That traction compound, that resin will activate, and it will become the preferred lane for a while, but it will also get rubbered up. And as the rubber starts to stick to that traction compound, it will over time lose a little bit of grip. So you either have to run higher to find fresher resin, or you can go back down to the bottom of the racetrack to find some speed.
And there's no laying back. These races go by in a blink of an eye. We're already working lap 24 of a 100-lap showdown here. We'll have a scheduled caution at lap 50. And we were talking about the 18, Connor Mosack. The history that he's had, Heather talked about it in her pit whip, setting up his story. He started racing a little bit later. He was a left and a right turner. He was a road course guy. He races in the Trans Am series, wanted to get a little bit better on the ovals. He's our rookie spotlight. You see it there, age 24. Average finish 3rd. Not bad.
Yeah, he's been strong. They've worked really hard on this program at Joe Gibbs Racing, this ARCA program, and Connor's doing the majority of the driving again on the bigger tracks. And
I read an article about Connor this week, actually preparing for, this opportunity to come up here in the booth with you guys. It's actually a really cool story. His first opportunity to ever drive a race car was right here at Charlotte Motor Speedway on the big racetrack. He was 16 years old, and for his birthday, he got a gift, and the gift was a NASCAR driving experience. And he came here with his dad and ran in the NASCAR driving experience here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and he fell in love with it.
That's what I want to do, right?
And he said, this is what I want to do. And so he was playing stick and ball sports and decided to quit stick and ball sports and go pursue a career in racing. So here he is.
And he ran part-time last year for Brett Holmes, and this year got the call to run the 18 for Joe Gibbs Racing. So doing a nice job. He's done a great job, actually. Every time he's been in this car, he finished 2nd at Daytona, 4th at Kansas, but still looking for that first win.
Yeah, Jesse Love right now is a little bit uncharted territory for him. He's not leading. He leads most of the laps that he's run this year in the ARCA Menards series, but nonetheless, still a good car. And again, these guys will have at least one opportunity to adjust on these cars. And I was talking to a lot of the crew chiefs down in the garage area. Again, you can change tires and put fuel on in any caution flag. You don't have to wait till the halftime break. So if we see a caution probably any time after 30 or 35 laps, as you see great battle right now for the 5th spot these guys may be able to pit a little bit earlier than that competition caution and stay out when that happens.
Taylor Gray in the 17. They're battling with Gus Dean. Amanda, what are they saying?
Well, Jamie, there's technically one more person pulling double duty tonight, and that is the crew chief for Taylor Gray of David Gillian. I heard this week that he's been putting in the midnight oil at the shop on the 17, working for Taylor on the Taylor's ARCA car. Said he didn't want to take any help from the truck team to get this car ready this weekend.
Yeah, you mentioned David Gilliland. Double duty, that's pretty cool. Crew chiefing here, and then he's going to jump in a truck and compete against Taylor here after our race is all finished.
Well, would you call that wearing multiple hats? I don't know, because one's a hat, one's a helmet, right?
That's true. How fun for David, though. I mean, he's a racer, right? And he last ran, I think it was 2 years ago, was the last time he ran a truck. So going to go out there and have some fun and mix it up with his team.
Here we see Jack Wood doing a great job here, running in third. We've talked about his teammate Andres Perez quite a bit, but here he is. Jack is doing a great job, and like we talked about, you know, he's got that experience from running in the truck. He's pulling double duty. I think five of the top 9 right now are all doing double duty. So you see that experience and that extra track time paying off for these drivers.
Another one of those guys, Dean Thompson right here, had such a good run at Texas going. Got involved in a huge crash in the Truck Series race at Texas, but ran up front that entire race. Really a career run for him. And he had a top 10 finish in the truck just a race or two ago for his best career finish.
It's Connor Mosack out front. Got a 2.5 lead almost over Jesse Love, Jack Wood, Dean Thompson made up a spot there. Andy J still hanging in the top 5.
I'm really surprised in Grant Emfinger in that 97. He was really doing a great job at the start of the race. I feel like he pounced when everybody else was unsure what their race car was going to do at the start of the race. He just jumped out to that second and third lane and drove around a lot of people on the outside. And now as everybody's kind of settled in, gotten in a good rhythm, you know, he's not been able to move forward as fast as he was.
Connor Mosack continues to lead here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 69 laps to go. Stay with us. Welcome back to the General Tire 150. We are under caution for the 3rd time for that spin right there. Sean Corr for the 2nd time goes around.
Yeah, that car is really, really loose. Sean just actually drove into the garage area. Bubba said, I've had all the fun I can stand.
Well, I don't blame him after 2 spins in the exact same spot.
We had some damage on the car, but look at this, the Navy SEAL Foundation on the car. Beautiful looking car. And just want to take a moment to thank those families and those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom. That's what this weekend is all about. So happy to show these paint schemes off and all the patriotism that we will show throughout the weekend.
Absolutely. Freedom is not free. Well, pit road is open.
Frankie Muniz riding on board. He decided to come on down. We were just talking in the commercial break. You guys said pit window is open, but it looks like they're going under the hood, maybe have an issue.
Phil, would you say this is in their fuel window?
I think it's right on the outside edge of their fuel window. They know we're going to get another caution in about 17, 18 laps. Some of the crew chiefs said they may decide to come in this early, but I think right now the way the race is playing out, they've decided not to. Frankie was running in the 11th spot. You saw the team go under the hood.
Yeah, so he obviously had something going on with his race car that he was not happy about. They wanted to take this opportunity to make some adjustments.
Yeah, and did not put tires on.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think earlier we had a couple quick cautions. You didn't really know what your car was driving like because, you know, the runs were so short. Now we've had quite a few laps on these tires. You have a really good idea of what your car is driving like, and so you see these drivers coming down pit road to make some adjustments to tune their car up.
That was a shot of Matt Ross, crew chief for Connor Mosack on the pit box.
Alex Clubb right there stopped on pit road with an issue. Going back to Frankie Muniz. Yes, let's get an update, Heather. What are they saying with that 30 car?
Yeah, well, he's bottoming out on the racetrack right there, so they just wanted to bring him in. He was also getting a little bit loose, so they were checking to see if they needed to make an adjustment to make it better. But I was talking to Frankie earlier, and he said it is incredible how this racetrack, the bumps and the character that it has. He said it's a lot more than I expected. He's been in the simulator racing to get prepared for this, but there's nothing like actually being out here for real. So he definitely had a little bit of a rude awakening. Right now they're just working on seeing if that car needs to be lifted up when they come in for the next break.
Yeah, this racetrack is the roughest mile-and-a-half racetrack we go to, and he could be bottoming out, or he could just be riding really rough. A lot of times the way they set these cars up to make the most aerodynamic downforce, they make them ride really, really stiff to keep the platform of the race car really steady. And speaking of aerodynamics, you see here the front valence on Connor Mosak's car. You see where they actually have it under the radiator pan. They have it slid up like a notch out. And that's to keep the airflow under the race car really fast. That creates some downforce. We saw it with the old Gen 6 Cup car where a lot of the guys were forming the splitters to make the center channel raised up off the racetrack.
The outside edges would be down and the middle up.
Right. When you seal that valence off, it chokes the air off underneath the race car, and so you're just relying on all the air flowing on the outside of the car, where when you keep that airflow underneath the car, it stays attached to the radiator pan and moves a lot faster under the car, makes more downforce.
And the pan is a lot wider this year than it was in all years past for these ARCA cars.
Which would make a big difference in downforce.
And some of these cars are former Cup cars. And speaking of the Cup Series Sunday, Memorial Day weekend, right here on Fox, it's the biggest patriotic day in racing, where the best of the best let freedom ring with 600 miles of high-speed chaos. It's all at 5:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. I know it'll be a special day for you, Eric, and your family. Just a little different when you're racing in NASCAR's backyard.
It really is. It makes a big difference when you get to sleep in your own bed and drive over to the racetrack, but it's home for all the crew members, for us, right? You come to the racetrack, you see everybody's family. A lot of the crew members get to bring their spouses, their kids, because oftentimes we're traveling. I mean, not often. Every other weekend when we're not racing at Charlotte, they're away games. Every other sport, they play 50% of their games at home. We only play 2 out of the 36 races at home. So it's so nice to be here, be in Charlotte, have a lot of the crews come out, their spouses, the kids, and get to participate in what we do.
And all 4 series racing here this weekend. Amanda.
Jamie, you talked about the effort of Andy Jankowiak of getting back to this track here this weekend. Pretty much that whole left side of that car that you're seeing right now has been replaced, including a brand new engine. It was an engine that they raised between practice and qualified that led to him qualifying 8th, currently running in the 5th spot. But when he talks about Charlotte, he said Dale Earnhardt grew up 20 miles from here. This place just feels different.
That is so Andy J. He's like a rock star. Where's the bandana? And oh, by the way, for those who have been following along, he is the pizza delivery guy. Eric, we were talking about him.
That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
He literally gets tips and he puts it in the jar that says racing fun.
Wow. Well, here we go. I'm really interested to see this restart. They're on older tires. We've already seen a lot of wheel spin from that outside lane, and Jesse Love has not restarted in the outside lane. So let's see if he can actually make the same traction he's been making on the inside lane. And it looks like he does.
Connor Mosak with a push by Jack Wood, but Jesse Love makes it look easy on the outside for the first time this evening.
That's the first time we've seen that. So he's obviously got something figured out in his gear ratios with his transmission, or something in their car setup that's really helping him launch on the restart.
Yeah, you guys in the Cup Series, basically you have 5-speed transmissions and the gears are the same for everybody. These guys have a little bit of latitude on what they're able to do with their second gear. Some might even restart in first gear.
Right. Yeah. Depending on what the team decides, you can have a first gear restart transmission or a second gear restart transmission.
I was just looking at Jack Wood in the number 6 black and white car, and I realized there's about 6 black and white cars all running together, but Jack Wood looks really loose with sliding back and lost a few spots, Heather.
And prior to this caution, Jamie, he actually felt like the car was coming to him. He told the team that he was going to try to get into the resin and see what that did for him. And they said, yeah, you're actually catching them. Now, that was prior to the caution. Now he's just trying to hang on here out the top line and see if he can make work what he did prior to that spin.
Yeah, Andy Jankowiak, another one that's lost a few spots on that restart. Grant Enfinger, though, going forward in the 7th spot.
Yes, he is. And Connor Mosak restarting from the front row there, leading all those laps before the caution. Really surprised that his car didn't take off on this restart. It took him about 10 or 15 laps to get going the first run before he was able to get past Jesse Love, but now he seems like he's buried himself in a little bit bigger of a hole here on this restart, and he doesn't look like he's quite got the speed he had earlier.
Look at Taylor Gray closing the door. This is a battle heating up here for the lead. Jesse Love has it. Dean Thompson and Taylor Gray won it. I love this part about Charlotte. You can move all around the track, try to find that grip and make something work.
And that's what Dean Thompson just did. Remember, Connor Mosack was able to parlay that second lane into the lead earlier.
Well, one thing I'm noticing here looking at the scoring monitor is a lot of these cars are falling off. Jesse Love's a second slower than his fastest lap of the race. Same for Connor Mosack. But one thing Taylor Gray is not doing is falling off.
Caution out for the 4th time.
Wow, big impact
Scott
for the number
Melton.
69.
Looked like that would happen heading into turn 3. Gosh, big damage for him.
Tough break for Scott. This is the Kimmel Racing Toyota. A lot of damage.
That one's going to be going straight to the garage.
Scott Melton, this guy lives for racing. Remember, he broke his leg a couple years ago, came back as quickly as he could, and he's racing every week.
Oh, wow, he had already wrecked on the straightaway.
Scott
That's
Melton.
really strange.
Yeah, running 14th at the time. Big hits, 2 hits for him.
That's really the aftermath of it there. Something happened further back on the back straightaway.
Don't know, maybe if he got hooked by somebody or something, but.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right, Phil. I think he must have come up and tried to clear himself off of turn 2 or something and got hooked, turned head on into the wall in the back straightaway.
So that brings out the caution for the 4th time. Jesse Love continues to lead. He's led 24 laps so far this evening.
We're getting close to that competition break at around lap 50, so I'll be surprised if we don't see some of these teams take this opportunity to come down pit road. We know we're in our pit window now. Matt Ross may be talking about that to his crew. We'll see when pit road opens. Scott Melton is close to the entrance to pit road, so it may delay opening pit road for a couple laps. Now pit road is open. I just saw the green light.
See the green light. That gives the indication that they can pit if they wish. Remember, we're on a doubleheader kind of night. It's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. It continues the Memorial Day race weekend here in Charlotte as the fastest trucks on the planet go door to door for 220 miles of action-packed racing. The engines fire tonight at 8:30 Eastern on FS1.
Only 6 races to go in the regular season for the trucks. It's coming down to it.
How about Tanner Gray? Taylor Gray's older brother captured his first career pole for tonight's race. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was quite a nail biter for him. Here you go, coming down pit road. Pit road's open. You see several of these race cars coming down to make some adjustments and get their tires and fuel.
See, Gus Dean had quite a bit of damage on the nose of his car. They're all headed your way.
And then we see Jesse Love coming in right here. He said that he's loose right now. At one point in the race said wrecking loose. So they're going to come in and do an adjustment here on the chassis for him and also get him 4 general tires. But other than that, he just wanted to know who's behind him and how far behind they are so that he can adjust accordingly and keep them behind him for the rest of the race. Amanda?
Little adjustments going to happen for Andy Jankowiak. This team's been wanting him to focus on the air more so than the track. Kind of talking to him about the weather changing here. It's cooled off already.
I saw right side of your screen, Connor Mosack. They had to wait to put tires on until they're done fueling. You can do fuel and tires, but just not at the same time.
Oh, okay. Well, one thing I saw interesting was that 20 of Jesse Love. They came down pit road. They put their tires in fueling, but before they did, they made adjustment in the back window. 2 rounds down on the track bar, 2 rounds up on the right rear jack screw, and 2 rounds down on the left rear jack screw to put wedge in it. So he must have been really loose to make that big of an adjustment. And he was our race leader.
And they made a track bar adjustment. They made all the adjustments they possibly could for the man who has dominated this race so far. ARCA Racing on FS1 is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers the freedom to explore. And by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Reese's, not sorry. Welcome back to Charlotte. Interesting call there. The first 6 in the lineup right now decided to stay out. So we have a mixed bag. What do you guys think of this?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. mostly because they have 2 sets of tires in the pits. So I understand if there was only 1 set of tires, these guys might try to go a little bit longer before they get their set of tires, but there's 2 sets of tires in there, and I just don't know if that was the right play, but we're going to find out. I could be wrong.
It's going to be fun to watch because these 6 cars are going to have to go to the back at some point, and then they're going to have to drive through all these people that pitted just now on this caution flag. So it's going to make it interesting for sure.
And I got to believe that if Jesse Love's already won back-to-back and you're going to race him for the win, I just do what they do. Race them heads up and try and beat them with a better race car. So, yeah, I don't know, but we're going to find out. These guys certainly on a lot older tires, 40-something laps on their tires, where these guys, you know, Jesse Love, Connor Mozak, Jack Wood, Andrew, Andres Perez, they're all going to be restarting on stickers with a lot more grip and a lot more speed.
Yeah, we saw the adjustments made. Look at this throwback. This is a Kevin Harvick throwback for Caleb Costner. Pretty neat to see this. We've been talking about throwbacks the last couple of weeks, but him and his team, they put a lot of time into this, Phil.
I was talking to him after the initial inspection this morning and said, hey, we stayed up all night working on this car, getting it ready, whatever. He said, I'm going to take a nap after he got through inspection. So doing a great job here. He's one of the cars that stayed out, showing right now in the 6th spot.
Stars and stripes. Looks good. Well done, boys.
No, he's actually just dropped to the back, actually, Phil.
He sure did, huh?
He must not have been feeling that great about it.
He was in the 6th spot, and
yeah.
He dropped back.
Got a car smoking there.
Well, again, the story of the night has been these restarts. When they get in this restart zone, it's just having a lot of trouble making traction.
Dean Thompson, Taylor Gray, new faces on the front row for this restart.
Grant Enfinger with a great push to Dean Thompson. Immediately goes up there into that traction compound.
Look at Jesse Love. He's going to make it through 3 wide, move around the outside of the 35. Greg Van Alst. Connor Mozak is the opposite. He's on the inside right.
4 wide.
He's battling the left, the bottom lane.
Ooh. Andres Perez, you saw him getting loose there. Oh, Greg Van Alst hard into the outside wall.
Oh,
comes
man.
Down into traffic. Caution is out for the 5th time.
So unfortunate for Greg. Daytona winner to get caught up in that and wrecked. But exactly what we just talked about, Phil. When you stay out on those old tires, it puts you in such a vulnerable position. Greg was one of the last cars on those old tires with a lot of those other drivers coming on new tires, and it puts you at such a defensive position. You're not playing offense, you're playing defense, and you know, 3-4 wide. Unfortunately, he got collected right
Yeah, Greg won that race at Daytona, had a top 10 at Phoenix, our 2nd race, parlayed that into a point lead for a couple of races, but it's gone bad for him here lately.
Such a beautiful race car. I told him in the garage this morning, just that blue, it pops. You could see him anywhere on the racetrack. Worked his way up. He was 5th at the time of that caution. You see him climbing from his race car, that onboard camera shot.
He was talking about during our feature, CB Fabricating always has some sort of red, white, and blue paint scheme on these cars, but tough break.
We're told that there's some fluid on the race car, obviously, from the 35.
You see Connor Mozak below him. Jesse Love power into the outside on those fresh tires. Like we talked about, fresh tires, such an advantage. He's one of the last cars on old tires. He's really in a vulnerable spot.
I think when the 25 of Gus. Ooh,
oh, Connor just gets into the back of him
just
right there.
barely touches him. I thought maybe the 25 of Gus Dean loosened him up. But looks like Connor, just the closing rate was so high because of the new tires on Connor's car that I think he just nudged him and turned him towards the outside wall.
New tires seem to be about a second, little over a second faster. So much more grip. And when you run on those old tires, 40-something laps on your tires, when you're riding around under caution, you can pick up a lot of rubber and debris on the tires and actually have way less grip than when you've been running for a while. So it's very possible Greg could have gotten a little bit loose right there, and Connor just didn't anticipate that closing rate.
Just the slightest of contact, but that's all it takes. These guys are on the ragged edge.
Let's go on board with the 45. Watch this close encounter.
This is Tony Cosentino. There's that little nudge right there.
Ooh.
Yeah, turned Greg sideways, and then when he tried to overcorrect it, it went into the outside wall.
I believe that could be a nominee for a Reese's Sweet Move right there by Tony Costantino, avoiding
absolutely.
Tony did a wonderful job of getting on the brakes and making sure to avoid Greg when he was coming back down the racetrack. You hear Greg playing with the throttle quite a bit. So Greg obviously didn't have the grip he needed when he was getting into turn 3 there. His car was loose, and that little bit of contact from Connor, you know, kind of finished him off with a car that was already loose.
Pretty significant contact with the safety barrier there. You could see the safety barrier give. Frankie Muniz did a really nice job getting by on the inside.
It sounds like, too, from a lot of the reports we've had tonight, a lot of these drivers are fighting loose handling conditions with their cars.
You could see it out there how loose they've been, especially on the top side of the racetrack.
And I think that really goes all the way back down to the track conditions. You know, when they practiced, it was sunny and hot, and the track was slick, and the track tends to be a lot tighter in those conditions. As the track cools down, the sun goes down, it gains a lot of grip. But
and that front gets it first, right?
The front gets it first, and it seems to always free the cars up.
Well, I mentioned Reese's Sweet Move of the race. Remember, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, head over to the ARCA Menards Series Twitter and Facebook pages at ARCA_racing to vote on what moment you think was today's sweet move of the race presented by Reese's. So, boo, that could be one right there. Tony Costantino just avoiding Greg Van Alst there.
And Frankie Muniz as well.
Frankie's had a couple of those moments. Great heads-up driving by him. So this will be that scheduled caution we talked about. Those who didn't pit will come down now. So interesting different strategy. So Dean Thompson, Grant Enfinger, Taylor Gray. 50 laps in, 50 laps to go. Welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway, where we're under caution for the 5th time. Watching the General Tire 150. Phil Parsons, Eric Almirola, and Jamie Little. Thanks for joining us. And we are under caution for our Sioux Chief Fast Track driver, Greg Van Alst. Had a great night running top 5 most of this race, and then this happened.
Yeah, just in a bad spot on old tires, around cars on new tires, and just a little bit, the slightest nudge from Connor Mosak, who was on new tires.
Well, before he got that nudge, you could hear him just messing with the throttle. He couldn't quite get the power down. He was on those 40-lap old tires, and he was battling a loose condition and couldn't get the power down. And Connor Mosak on those fresh tires was able to get to his back bumper and turn him around.
What's up, buddy?
That's what Greg is asking right now. Why? Why?
Yeah.
Again, no malicious intent at all by Connor Mosak for sure.
No, absolutely not. And I know Greg, he just really wishes that Connor would have had a little bit more patience and tried to get his car turned under Greg and pass him on the exit of 4 rather than get into his left rear quarter panel right there in the middle of the corner where Greg was having a lot of handling issues.
Greg Van Alst, the short track racer from Anderson, Indiana. All volunteers that work with his team, and he's running full time this year. So a hit like this, you know, there's a lot of consequences in the points.
Well, not only in the points, but it's expensive. You know, there's a lot of money that's going to go into repairing that race car, and the time, the amount of time. So instead of taking that race car back to the shop and working on it, massaging on it, trying to make it better for the next race, they have to go back and cut all the damaged parts off of it and completely start from ground zero.
Well, let's hear from him. Amanda?
Greg Van Alst released from the care center, and we saw you throw your hands up, getting out of your race car. Reflections on what happened on track?
Yeah, he just drove through us. I mean, I know he's on better tires. We got 4 laps to the break, and, you know, just no respect, right? It just, I mean, there's 3 other lanes out there, and I'm in the middle lane. He could have went, you know, lower. He could have went higher, and he just left rears us. I mean, you know, I don't know. It's getting frustrating because we keep getting wrecked because these guys can't, you can't race anybody anymore. I mean, that's just the way racing is anymore. Nobody passes clean. They just drive through you, and I don't know. I'm getting kind of frustrated with it, and I don't know. Maybe I just go race with my boys and do this 1 or 2 times a year or something. I don't know. It's just frustrating, right? You know, there's like I said, there's 3 other lanes out there, and he's got to pick the same one I'm in and just left rear us. I don't know. I'll have a talk with him and see what he says, but he better say he's sorry, because I may not make the next one now.
Oh, boy. Greg Van Alst, that's a big man right there, and he's not happy. But don't walk away yet. Don't walk away. He needs to stay in the sport. We love having him. He's emotional.
Right.
Did you see his reaction when he won at Daytona, Eric?
Absolutely.
It was the best.
It
of
was
the whole
awesome.
weekend.
It was so awesome. And you see it in his face. You hear it in his voice. So dejected. So, so disappointed. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact too is that he's a short track racer from the Midwest, and those guys, they have to learn how to race and take care of their equipment. They run 3-4 nights a week in the summer, and you have to be able to take your car home in one piece, work on it, and bring it to the racetrack the next night. And Connor didn't grow up that way, so Connor's more on the aggressive side, and certainly could have had some more patience there, but at the same time, he's licking his chops. He knows he has a great race car. He's led some laps in this race, and he wants to hurry up and get back to the front on those fresh tires.
Well, let's take a look back at Daytona and see the big win by Greg Van Alst and how he did it.
That was Jason White from Canada down on the inside on the 44.
And coincidentally, that 18 car is right behind him again.
Helped him to the win.
Right.
Helped him to the win.
Front row seat for it.
And that was Connor Mosack in the 18 car at Daytona.
So he probably loved Connor Mosack on that day.
I mean, that was just the beginning of the elation in the interview.
And that's such our sport, right? Our sport is such a balancing act of a hero one day, a zero the next. You can go from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, and today you're seeing him at a low moment, but so awesome to see that replay of the highlight of his career winning at Daytona.
He's a fence builder, by the way. He's got to build a lot of fences to pay for the damage that just happened. That's how those guys think, right? We'll be back from the General Tire 150. And pit stops underway here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Quite a few takers here as we talked about the split system. We had some come in earlier, about 8 laps ago, and then the rest of the field decided to pit now, including Taylor Gray in the 17, Dean Thompson in the 15.
Yeah, and we talked about this before the break. We knew this competition caution was going to come out. Phil and I weren't totally on board with this strategy of these cars staying out. But the only thing I can say is I don't know. Maybe these General Tires like to be stickers. Sometimes we on the Cup side have tires where they don't fire off as good after you put a quick heat cycle on them. So maybe they knew that this caution was coming.
Good opportunity to make some adjustments, get a drink of water. We have 42 laps to go here. Well, let's get an update. Amanda.
Well, you saw the 17 of Taylor Gray getting 4 tires put on. I think he was just as surprised as anyone that they didn't pit, but his crew chief reminded him, don't worry, we have the car that can go the distance. We will be really fast. Heather?
Well, for the 15 of Dean Thompson, that was their plan. They opted to do opposite what the 20 did on those last pit stops. So Dean right now, he said, you know what, this car's really great. I don't really need an adjustment. They are building a little bit free, but his crew chief, Manan Rahman, said, no, we need to make a little bit adjustments. So they did 1 out of the right rear wedge and 2 down on the track bar and 1 in the left rear there to get him a little bit more rear security on the 15. Amanda?
4 new tires for Grant Ingfinger. You'll remember there was that clutch issue ahead of the race. No problems there at all. The last time Grant was on an intermediate was back in 2016 at Pocono. Oh, and he won it. And then on the 45 of Tony Constantino, that was that Reese's sweet move of the move maybe. His pit stop looked good, back on track.
Thank you, ladies. Nice update on what was done. A lot of adjustments there. So we'll see who made the right adjustments, who made the wrong adjustments.
And all of those adjustments, again, to tighten the race car up. Everybody's battling a loose race car, Phil.
Yeah, same thing we saw at Kansas. Because remember, this new aerodynamic pan, this is the 2nd mile and a half that the ARCA Menards series is raced. And I think that new aerodynamic pan that goes all the way across the front of the car, all the way back to the radiator, has really thrown some curves to some of these guys. That's why they've been fighting so many loose conditions.
Well, we'll see if these fresh tires will pay off for some of these drivers that elected to not pit on the previous caution. Maybe this sticker set will be better than the cycled tires, but I don't know. I would be in the camp of doing whatever Shannon Rush and Jesse Love were doing, because they've got it figured out on how to get to victory lane in this ARCA Menards series.
You know, and I don't mind what Dean Thompson, their reasoning for doing that. Do the opposite of the 20. Again, these are both cars out of Venturini Motorsports. I mean, at the end of the day, Venturini Motorsports wants to go to victory lane. I know each one of these drivers certainly does too, but within the company, it's not a bad strategy to have one on one side and one on the other side of that.
Yeah, but if I'm Dean, I already finished second to him at Kansas. I want to do something. I want to do the same thing as him and race him heads up and try and beat him.
About Frankie Muniz, we saw him on pit road earlier with some issues. He said it was just a rough ride, so they took a look at everything. He's back up to the 7th spot in the 30 car. Jesse Love continues to lead the way. Jack Wood, Gus Dean, and Connor Mosack, your top 4 here as we get ready to restart once again at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Jack Wood does a nice job going through the gears of being able to hang with Jesse Love.
That's the best we've seen anybody do against Jesse Love.
He's trying to hang right there on his right rear quarter panel so he can't clear him off of turn 2. And he does it. He's able to hang with him right there off of turn 2, and now that momentum's going to carry him down the back straightaway.
What about Tony Breininger, the 55 for Venturini Motorsports? Haven't talked about her, but she's up there. Connor Mosack up high. He hangs on to it.
Gus Dean,
yeah, he was trying to avoid Gus Dean.
Gus Dean got really loose on the bottom there and slid up into Connor Mosack and made both those cars run up the racetrack.
Loose is the trigger word tonight.
Yes, it is.
We've been hearing.
Every single one of these drivers has their cars hung out and sideways, trying to search for every bit of grip they can find on this Charlotte Motor Speedway tonight.
Yeah, Connor's just now trying to recover from that. Lost all his momentum. He had to slam on the brakes when Gus slid up in front of him.
See the 32, Christian Rose entering the top 10 for the first time today. Came off a nice top 10 at Kansas at our last race, his first one of the season.
Hey, made him move around Grant Enfinger. Nice job by Christian Rose.
There you see Jan Kowiak and Gus Dean going at it.
It's a battle for the 5th spot.
Gus is trying to get the handling of his car back. Hopefully that resin compound will give him the traction he needs. He's struggling still with a loose race car.
Nice move on the bottom by Andy J. Not able to clear Gus. Looks like Gus may give him a break and let him in.
No, he's not. I want that spot.
Maybe not.
This is a heck of a battle for 5th, but Andy Jankowiak, if you weren't with us earlier, we told the story in the 73. He caught on fire at Kansas, couldn't even race. He and his buddies rebuilt the car, and they're here tonight. They've been running top 5, doing an incredible job.
And that is one of the Venturini Motorsports cars driven by Gus Dean that he was racing with. And the Venturinis told him at Kansas, anything we have on our hauler that you need to fix your car, let us know. They love Andy J.
Wow, that's awesome. And I've known the Venturini family for a long time. And Billy, that family is such a sweet family and just hardcore racers. Been in the ARCA Menards series, I think, since it started. And
well, it started in '53.
All right, well, maybe Bill was, I don't know, but yeah, just a great family and great people and wonderful to race with.
By the way, Billy Venturini, who runs the operation, he jumped in the car last week. First time he's raced in 17 years. Finished 4th at Flat Rock, and there were some good drivers in there, including William Sawalek.
Yeah, I was talking to his dad, Bill, and he said he was really proud of Billy, the job he did, because he was competitive, qualified well, raced competitively, and again, as Jamie mentioned, hadn't been in the car in forever.
Here you see Taylor Gray and Connor Mosack. They've been battling back and forth for the last couple of laps. I believe they actually just had some contact moments ago.
Woo. Woo.
That was 17 getting into Frankie Muniz.
He said, I gotta go.
Gotta go.
Was that 2? Maybe Sweet Move nomination?
And more contact.
Oh.
That was an interesting straightaway for Taylor Gray.
And it actually put a little bit of damage at the tail end of his right rear quarter panel, which could have a slight aerodynamic effect on his race car.
These guys really rely on that right rear corner for that side force. We talk about the skew. That means the back end is really skewed out from the front, and that's what they do that for, is that side force.
Battle for second heating up. Jack Wood, Dean Thompson wants to get back up there. Dean led for a few laps, actually led 15 laps so far this evening, and he goes to the bottom of the 6. Can he get it to stick?
Yeah, Dean's one of those guys that pitted during that competition caution, so he has a few less laps on his tires than does Jack Wood or Jesse Love. He's going to be able to make the pass and grab that second spot.
And the one thing is, it's not just the less laps on the tires. You know, it's 3 or 4 laps less on the tires, but it's a brand new set of sticker tires that haven't been heated up and then cooled back down. That 3 laps might not be as big of a deal, but sometimes that heat cycle can really take the good out of the tire. Oh! What a save.
What a save. Contact from Gus Dean as Grant Enfinger goes by.
Yeah, Connor slid up into Gus Dean, made significant contact, but a great save by Gus Dean as well.
That's really going to take a lot of life out of the tires there for Connor.
Let's take another look at that one.
Not sure if Connor gets loose down here.
Oh, you actually see his car bottom out. His car seemed to bottom out, and we talked about how rough the racetrack is, and his car went down in there into turn 1. There's a big bump down there at the bottom, and his car bottomed out on those bumps and slid up the racetrack. And then when he got door to door with Gus, it just seemed to take the air off his car. Yeah.
What a save by both drivers.
I'd say that's up for a nominee for a sweet move.
Now, who do we give it to? Which one of those drivers do we give it to?
Ooh.
Well, that's tough because Frankie Muniz has had a couple of great saves as well. This racetrack is just incredible how you can move all around. You have contact. You have the ability to save it, but it's been incredible tonight. Wow, Frankie Muniz on board right there.
Well, ever since they started putting that resin down, it's been about, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years that they've been putting the resin down in the 2nd and 3rd lanes. It's really made the racetrack a lot more versatile. You've been able to run all over. You can run your left sides down on the paint, or you can move up into the traction compound.
Heather.
And Connor Mosak just came over the radio and said he's wrecking loose, which for us watching here, obviously he's been having some issues. We've seen him have multiple incidents in contact with other race cars, and his team right now just saying, hey man, take a deep breath and try and regroup. So Eric, when you get frazzled in the race car, what would be your best advice to give him right now to calm down and calm those nerves and get back after it?
Well, you have to take a deep breath. You've got to make sure that you hit your marks, and you can't get your focus, you can't get your focus on the wrong things. You can't start thinking about all the negative things, your car not handling in the way you want it to, you're losing track position. You got to focus on, all right, I'm going to go back forward. I'm going to do the things I need to do in the race car. I'm going to hit my marks. If I'm struggling with a race car that's really loose, I'm going to start making sure that I manage my corner entries. I manage the way I drive around cars. Keep the air on the right side of the car so you don't put yourself in a vulnerable spot when you get inside of somebody. So there's a lot of different things you can do as a race car driver when you're battling a loose race car, like we continue to see Connor Mosak struggle with. He is really sideways, and he is pushing the edge for 8th position here with Gus Dean.
But he's not giving up despite how loose he is.
My goodness, he is going for it.
Well, Gus isn't giving much of a break either. He didn't give him a whole lot of room getting down in turn number 1.
Mobile One's got to be loving this action right here.
Yeah, it's the good guys versus the bad guys with the black and the white scheme here. Connor Mosak's going to get really frustrated with that. He had a car that was leading laps early on in the race, and it just seems like the adjustments they made at that pit stop have not suited his car to his liking, and he has really struggled with a loose car. I think they made a small track bar adjustment on that pit stop where we saw Jesse Love, who was battling with him for the lead, make a major adjustment to tighten his car up. 2 rounds down on the right side track bar, 2 rounds of wedge in the right rear and left rear. So obviously Jesse Love's car has come to life with those adjustments and tightening him up.
Saw Taylor Gray just grab that 5th spot away from Andy Jankowiak. He's on the move. He's one of those drivers that pitted on the competition caution on lap number 57.
And Taylor was another one of those cars that fell way back. He was involved. He was right behind Connor Mosak when Gus Dean came up the racetrack and got both those guys behind on that restart. Fell back to, I think, 11th. And he's slowly worked his way back up into the top 5 now.
Yeah, driven away from Andy Jankowiak, who he had just passed. He can keep that car right painted on the blue line. He's going to pull right underneath Andres Perez. He's going to grab that 4th spot.
Nice side-by-side battle. Just looking at Andres Perez, the 18-year-old out of Mexico City, and just the job he continues to do lap after lap. Just his 2nd career 1.5 mile race. 5th career start. He wasn't old enough, as we mentioned, couldn't even run Daytona, had to sit out that one, but now he's here full time?
Taylor Gray is the fastest race car on the racetrack right now, and this brings us back to what we talked about earlier. That decision to stay out at lap 40-something and wait till the competition caution, lap 42, and wait till the competition caution, just put them behind. I mean, he was up there battling for the lead with Jesse Love prior to that caution where Jesse Love came down pit road, and now he's 6 seconds back trying to chase him down.
With 23 laps to go.
Battle for the lead heating up. Jesse Love has a mirror full of Dean Thompson. I feel like this is a repeat of the beginning of the race.
No, Dean has been able to manage his newer tires a lot better, obviously, because that's the same pit strategy that Taylor Gray was on. He pitted on 11 of 57.
22 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You're watching the ARCA Menards series, and look at that, Chad Knaus and his son enjoying the action on this Friday night. And welcome back to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is a weekend of remembrance where we give thanks for those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom, and that's why we race this weekend. Starts tonight, and we will take you through Sunday evening. 600 miles of remembrance, and it's so special. And Eric Almirola, we're so happy to have him. You actually got to visit Camp Lejeune and the soldiers there.
Man, that was so much fun. What an amazing day that was. I got to go with Greg Walter, track president of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and hang out with all the Marines down there in Camp Lejeune, and just having that opportunity to go down there and spend the day with them and say thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for, thank you for all you do to make sure that when we walk out of our doors, we live in a free country. And I got to do some really cool stuff. I got to fly in that Osprey helicopter. I got to go in that LAV. They call it a lightly armored vehicle. It's similar to a tank. And I got to shoot some really big artillery rounds out of it. I mean, it was amazing. And the range and the firepower that it has, just unbelievable. But it is truly humbling to have that opportunity to go down there, spend time with the men and women that sign up. They volunteer to fight for me and you. Just an incredible opportunity. And in that LAV, they call it a lightly armored vehicle. It's similar to a tank. And I got to shoot some really big artillery rounds out of it. I mean, it was amazing. And the range and the firepower that it has, just unbelievable. But it is truly humbling to have that opportunity to go down there, spend time with the men and women that sign up. They volunteer to fight for me and you. Just an incredible opportunity and an amazing day.
It is the biggest military celebration that you will see ever, and it's right here at this racetrack on Sunday. We'll have hundreds of service members here to give our thanks and appreciation to the families. So many families will be here as well. Oh, we've been talking about the Reese's Sweet Move nominees. We've had quite a few. Let's take a look at them.
Let's do it.
Tony Cosentino is going to slam on the brakes to avoid Greg Van Alst after he came down the racetrack after hitting the wall.
Here you see Frankie Muniz after getting some contact from Taylor Gray when he's on the move. Frankie Muniz having to save that race car.
And how about Connor Mosack? About 45 degrees sideways when he got into the 25 of Gus Dean. Great save by Connor.
That's a pretty sweet move.
So there are the nominees. As of now, it could change. We could add another one before this is all said and done. But we have 12 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and these guys just can't shake each other. Gus Dean and got Connor Mosack in the 18. This is the battle for 8.
Whoa, and you still see Connor is just battling that loose race car, and that makes it so difficult to pass, especially when Gus is running that middle lane. It gives Connor really the only option to go underneath of him, and we've already seen multiple times, every time he goes underneath them and tries to make that move, he gets loose when the air gets taken off the right side of his race car.
Right now, Connor's saying, please, let's have a caution flag. Let me get in there and get 4 more tires, tighten this car up a little bit.
Heather, what are they saying?
Well, here we're going to take a look at Shannon Rush. That's Jesse Love's crew chief there. He has been racing here for 24 years and has yet to capture a win as a crew chief. And when I talked to him earlier, he said,
I'm passively optimistic. I feel good about today. I feel better than I felt in the last 2 or 3 years coming to this racetrack. But he described Charlotte as his Achilles heel. So we'll see if young Jesse Love can hang on these last 10 laps and not only get him his first win, but their 3rd win in a row.
Yeah, Shannon, he was like, it's that double-edged sword when you come here. It's just, I know something has always gone wrong and we haven't been able to win, even if we have the best car. So we're hoping to do it tonight. He said he actually built a brand new race car for this race tonight and said our car was so good at Kansas. We know all the characteristics. We're bringing that back. So that's what he's running here tonight. He's been great.
And he's still running some really fast lap times too, around 31:50. That's within a second of his fastest lap, and right now he's got 50 laps on his tires.
Right. I wonder if he was saving tires, because a while ago, maybe 10 or 12 laps ago, Dean Thompson was running him down about 0.2 a lap, and we saw Dean cut the gap to about 0.3 of a second. And it seems like Jesse Love in the last 12 to 14 laps has just turned it up a notch. He's been running 31.50s and 31.60s to Dean Thompson's 31.90s, and he's taken that 0.3 of a second gap all the way out to a 2-second lead.
Battle for the 6th spot. Grant Enfinger's going to get underneath the 73 of Jan Kowiak to grab that 6th spot. Grant's just getting warmed up. He's going to have 200 more miles here after this race ends in the Truck Series.
Boy, these guys are so happy it's not the typical hot Charlotte that we're used to. I mean, we're probably down to about 65 degrees, maybe even a little cooler right now. So I think it's going to be that way all weekend long.
That makes it really, really nice inside the race car. When it's 90, it can be hot, and it can be really, really intense and very physical with that heat inside the race car. So a 60-degree evening like this makes it feel like a nice Sunday drive, if you will.
Yes, and that's what Jesse Love is making it look like, a Sunday drive out there, just dominating this one. Jesse Love has led 61 laps and continues leading here at Charlotte, racing here for the first time.
Oh, trouble. Gus Dean has got into the outside wall. You see the right front tire damage, both right sides.
Can't see General Tire on either one of those tires. Quite a bit of damage for him.
That's certainly going to impact his chances tonight. I know Jesse Love's excited they didn't throw a caution for it.
Yeah, for sure. How about Dean Thompson? What a great run for him. Again, another one of those drivers doing double duty. He was second last time out in this Venturini car, hoping for one more spot. But as you mentioned, he's falling off the pace. We have trouble over in turn 2. Oh, the 11 car, Stephanie Moyer.
This is really going to shake things up, Phil.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
5 laps to go. Caution comes out. That is not what Shannon Rush wanted to see right there.
Now the crew chiefs have to make a decision. Do I want fresh tires? It's probably going to be a 2-lap shootout. But we still have 10 cars on the lead lap.
I don't know.
What do you if you're Shannon Rush, Eric, what are you going to do?
Well, you have to look at it. You have 10 cars on the lead lap, but certainly the last 4 or 5 cars on that lead lap are going to want to pit because their cars are not
without
handling,
a doubt,
right?
Yeah, if you're on the backside of the top 10, for sure you're going to come down pit road. You have nothing to lose.
I think if you're Jesse Love, if you pit, maybe Taylor Gray stays out. Maybe Taylor Gray, Jack Wood, maybe Dean Thompson. But I think at worst, if you're Jesse Love and you come down and pit, you're going to restart 4th or 5th. And I feel like with the race car that they've had, they certainly can win from 4th or 5th on a restart. If they leave themselves out there, I think they end up in a very vulnerable spot.
I think he's saying he's coming.
I think he said we're coming.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. As a race car driver, I want to be on offense.
Yeah.
I don't want to be hung out there on old tires having to play defense on a restart, especially when you've had the best race car all night.
Because you don't know. If you stay out, everybody behind you may come to pit road, and then you're a sitting duck.
Right, absolutely.
But if your car is that good, you know you have 55 laps on the tires, why not?
Well, as a race car driver, this is also too where you really enjoy being the driver and not the crew chief. Because you don't have to make that call. You know, Jesse's going to do whatever Shannon tells him here, and Shannon says he's coming, and I think that's the right call.
John.
Yeah, Shannon may ask Jesse what you want to do. He says, it's up to you.
That's right.
I want to do what you want me to do.
The question is, how many follow him?
Well, the green light's on. We're getting ready to find out how many people are going to come
If I'm Dean Thompson,
down
if Jesse Love comes down pit road, I may stay out. I maybe want to do the opposite of what he does.
I don't know. Dean's actually been falling off really hard those last couple laps.
Yeah,
he was running
comes.
32-second lap times.
Heather, they're coming your way.
Yes, they are, and Jesse Love coming down first. He told his team when they asked how the car is, he said he's still a little free, but they also let him know that he is better than the 15 of Dean Thompson in traffic. And as far as Dean Thompson goes, he was frustrated to see that caution come out. He said he's a little heavy on exit and he used up the rears too much, so both those teams are going to make some adjustments, and they're going to go head-to-head when we go green here. Amanda.
Tires on the right-hand side of the 97 are going on. They're going to top off as well. And as I look at the 17, tires on Taylor as well. But it was a mad dash to pit road. They were waiting to see what everyone else was going to do before they decided.
Remember now, non-competitive pit stops. Jesse Love will come off pit road. No matter where he comes off pit road, he will be the leader of the group on pit road. It looks like Christian Rose, the 32 car, was the only lead lap car that stayed on the racetrack. So if he does not come in, he was running ninth. He will be our leader on this restart, and Jesse Love will restart second.
This is going to make it really, really interesting on these restarts. And something new to me, you guys told me before the show, unlimited restarts.
Oh, yeah.
Unlimited green-white checkers.
If we're able to get restarted with 1 lap to go, they will finish at the prescribed distance. So in other words, if we get ready to take the green at lap 99, it'll be a 1-lap shootout, not a 2-lap shootout.
We'll step aside. We'll drop the green flag, maybe perhaps for the last time after this. Under caution for the 6th time this evening, but we're about to wrap it up. And who will take home that beautiful trophy? It's the General Tire 150 trophy waiting in victory lane. So what we'll have here is a green-white checkered. We have unlimited attempts. If they do take the white and the caution comes out, we will do the green and the white together for single lap shootout. Unlimited.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think Jesse Love is certainly the car to beat tonight. You know, Dean Thompson and Taylor Gray are going to have something to say about it. But I feel like with Jesse here restarting on the front row, Christian Rose is on older tires, and his car, honestly, has not nearly been as good as these other leaders. So I feel like Jesse Love is certainly in position. But don't count Taylor Gray out. He's going to be restarting right behind there, behind Jesse Love. If he can get a good launch and push Jesse down into turn 1, he can try to get to his outside and make something happen here.
Let's get an update on the leader, Amanda.
Well, I'm sure the number 32 is going to be pretty proud of this moment in honor of Memorial Day weekend. On that passenger side, he has his grandfather's name, Roscoe Rowe, who was a World War II veteran. He passed away in 2011, but said that right as he took the car out for practice earlier today, he said he felt a breeze, and he knew that was his grandfather riding along with him.
Great story. Nice to pay respect to his grandfather.
Right now, Jesse Love has to be careful, because we know he's had the best car, and he's going to have to be really careful on this restart to make sure that Christian Rose launches first.
Right.
Jesse doesn't want to jump him. Even Christian Rose, it may even look, because he may spin these older tires.
Right.
Jesse's really going to have to be careful on this restart.
I agree. I think no matter what, it's going to look like Jesse Love jumped a restart. I just think he has that much superior of a race car than Christian Rose has had tonight. It's going to be really interesting here. He's going to have to do everything right.
Christian Rose, the control car on the bottom in the 32. Jesse Love on the outside. Nice restart.
Does everything right, just like you talked about, Phil. Taylor Gray trying to keep up.
How about Christian Rose hanging in there really on those old tires?
It's go time. Jesse Love to the point once again.
Here comes Dean Thompson on the inside in the 15 car.
They got these brand new General tires on with the air pressures pumped up. They're trying to basically lay down qualifying laps here for the next 2 laps to go win this race.
Shannon Rush told me the focus was short run speed in this number 20, and they have achieved that tonight. White flag is out. Final lap of this race. Can Jesse Love hang on?
Dean Thompson has got a great run through the middle of 1 and 2. He's certainly running Jesse Love down. Jesse's trying to break the draft.
Dean is coming.
Jesse Love trying to win for the 3rd time this season. Dean Thompson trying to win for the 1st time in his career. They're 4 wide behind him. Checkered flag comes out. Jesse Love wins at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
What a great race. He had such a great race car. Jesse Love did everything right today.
And I know that guy too.
And so did Shannon. That was absolutely the right call to come down pit road and put tires on. We talked about it. Victory lane has eluded him here, but not tonight. He's going to go to victory lane and celebrate with his driver, Jesse Love.
Shannon Rush, been part of a race team coming to Charlotte since 2006, never got it done. It was on top of his mind, hugs all around.
And how special is that? It's at home. He's got your family here, gonna go home and sleep in his own bed tonight.
Top
and that
three
team
finishers were exactly the same as they were at Kansas.
And what a run this team has been on, this number 20 team. 3 wins in a row. I mean, dominance. Jesse Love did a phenomenal job tonight. He was patient when he needed to be patient. He was aggressive when he needed to be aggressive.
It's only happened probably 3 or 4 times in ARCA history that a rookie has gone to victory lane 3 times in a row.
I think only 5 times ever has anybody won 3 or more times consecutively. So well done by the 18-year-old.
Everybody needs to keep their eyes on this kid. Jesse Love is a very talented race car driver. Obviously, he's with a great team with Venturini Motorsports and a great crew chief in Shannon Rush, but they have been performing at a very high level.
That is Billy Venturini's son. He's working with the team now, running the Venturini flag out.
Well, he's the youngest guy, so he's the one that should have run out there with the flag. It's a long way.
Jesse Love could get used to this.
The fans approve. The fans approve. They are pumped to see Jesse here. And
what is this, 8 races in 9 days for Jesse Love?
Racing nonstop. Eric, you know what happens when you win for Big Bill Venturini and you go to victory lane?
What happens?
You get a big kiss right on the lips.
Ooh, on the
Bill.
lips.
Yes.
From Bill.
And he doesn't care who you are.
All right. Well, I mean, I like to win, but I think that would be the one downside of winning. Yeah.
Just maybe give him a cheek or something, maybe. But
well, I'm Cuban, right?
Yeah.
So that's kissing is very, very common in our culture, but it's typically on the cheek, especially male to male.
Jesse Love's helmet is off. Heather DeBow is with him.
And a big smile on Jesse's face as he gets win number 3 in a row for his team in Venturini Motorsports. Also, your crew chief, Shannon Rush, has never won here before. So what does this moment mean to you to bring that achievement to him and your team?
Well, we brought it to each other because I never won here either. So, man, huge thank you to Shannon, Crescent, obviously, Gear Wrench, and everybody at Toyota Racing for the opportunity. I've never won here, even on the 5th mile when I was racing legend cars. So, man, that caution came out, and I always stay calm. I got a great spotter in Tyler Mon up there, keeping me calm and cool and collected, and I never really get worked up. And I just got the baddest MFer in the garage, and it's hard to lose races when you got this crew chief here.
And here he gets a hug from his crew chief, Shannon. He told us earlier this was his Achilles heel, but not no more. They finally got the win here. But Jesse, let's go back to that call. Shannon, if you want to step in here, you made that call there at the end to pit. So take us through what went through your mind in that moment as well.
Just, I know how much tires mean. I knew if I could get a couple guys to follow us down, we had a good car, and obviously best driver in the field by far, so I had to put tires on him. Like, we can't get beat with 4 stickers laying. I can't. Nah, I ain't gonna lose with 4 stickers in the pit. So thanks all the fans for coming out, man. You guys are why we do this, just so you know, every single one of you. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations to Jesse Love, your winner here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Big win for that combo right there. I think we're going to see them in victory lane many more times. We'll be back to wrap things up from Charlotte next. What a 3-race stretch it has been for that young man from Redwood City, California. Jesse Love wins at Talladega, Kansas, and now Charlotte. And how about that? A little nod to Tina Turner, simply the best. And look at that, Shannon Rush gets a ride by his driver right into victory lane.
Well, he deserves to not walk down there after the race car he gave him.
Yes, no doubt. Well, Dean Thompson had a heck of a night, and he caught up with Amanda.
Hey, Shannon. I was nervous I was going to put the whammy on you because I gave that report with 10 to go. I was like, he's never won here. And I'm like, please don't let me put the
So many whammies in this place.
Good job.
I was crying.
You almost cried just now.
I know.
I love it. Good job.
We have some technical difficulties. We apologize for that interview, but congratulations to Dean Thompson finishing second. As the water flies, because he's only 18, they celebrate in victory lane. And what a fun night it was. Eric Almirola, so happy to have you joining us tonight. Phil Parsons, my partner in crime. What's your takeaway from tonight?
Well, thanks for having me. What a fun night to watch the ARCA Menards Series race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And just like we talked about at the beginning of the show, Jesse Love, the dominance that they've had in the last 2 races, that team is what seems to be unbeatable right now. Dean Thompson, his teammate, I know wants to beat him. He finished second to him at Kansas, finished second to him again here tonight. And Taylor Gray running third, ran third at Kansas as well. Did a great job. But Jesse Love, finds himself in victory lane again tonight.
It was a great battle, no doubt, especially with those 3. I just wish that they were running all the races together, because what a show it's putting on. But we're just kicking things off tonight. We have the Truck Series coming up next. I know you're racing on Sunday, 600 miles of remembrance, so best of luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
All right, for Phil Parsons, Eric Almirola, Amanda Busick, Heather DeBow, I'm Jamie Little. Thank you for joining us here, but